Welcome to you from Performance Plus as we go into the second last day of car testing here at Kyalami. The Williams Renault of Riccardo Patrese is just about set for his long run today. Almost 50 laps or 50 plus depending on time, depending on conditions at the circuit here. So stay with us as we bring you action at Kyalami. Although he's the most experienced driver in Grand Prix history with nearly 200 starts, Riccardo Patrese looked a little tense as he prepared for his stint. For the entire team, it was perhaps the most important time of the 5 days of testing, with a great deal hinging on the results. Malcolm, what sort of approach will be done today in terms of comparing this with a fully fledged Formula One race?
Well, effectively, we are going to simulate as closely as we can a race. So it'll be a full race start. He'll do a slow warm-up lap as if he was formating on the grid. Then we'll hold him for about 30, 40 seconds, which is the amount of time it normally takes for the rest of the cars to line up, and then it'll be just like a normal race start.
I think a lot of people are interested because there's a lot of cloud outside, and there's a lot of thought that it might rain this afternoon, which is something that has to be gone through if it happens in the race. What about changing tyres? A full race change as well?
As near as we can. We're not fully equipped. We haven't brought all our race equipment here for a full race tyre change, but we are intending to change tyres, yes. Obviously we hope it's not going to rain, and if it does we won't carry on running, but certainly on the dry tyres we're intending to change tyres.
Where Grand Prix teams go, they take with them tyres, and more tyres, and more tyres. There are slick tyres and grooved wet weather tyres, and in these days of high technology, there are tyre warmers, special blankets, preheat tyres to specified temperatures, and the role tyre performance plays in GP racing cannot be underestimated. It's all very technical, as Goodyear technician Roy Dolman explains. What about servicing 15 teams during a Grand Prix? I mean, it's pretty easy for you here, isn't it?
It's very easy. It's a bit of a cruise, actually, but normally in the Grand Prix situation, there are 14 sort of tyre fitters, plus 4 or 5 engineers from the States and their sort of manager. And then there's a service manager and the PR manager come. So we're looking at sort of 18, 20 people here. And then we bring along something like 2,500 tyres. It's a big operation.
When Patrese blasted off the start line at the beginning of his test session, even the most hardened motorsport enthusiast could not help wishing there were 25 other cars alongside him on the grid. South Africa last hosted a Grand Prix in 1985, and the sight and sound of the 2 Williams cars charging around Kyalami rekindled the hopes that this country will soon be back on the World Championship calendar. The shrill sound of the Renault motor was music to the ears of any motorsport enthusiast, with the Williams Renault test session eliciting enormous interest throughout the week so far. Perhaps the biggest problem facing the team all through the test session has been tyre wear. With no previous experience of Kyalami conditions, Williams and Goodyear were a little in the dark in terms of tyre choices. The 2 compounds the team brought with them have proved to be a little on the soft side and have kept lap times down on extended runs. Patrese was forced into making 2 pit stops for tyres, and his lap times of around 1 minute 11 to 12 seconds were slightly slower than one would expect under race conditions. On the credit side, the new Renault V10 RS2 motor performed faultlessly. The South African test session is the first time the engine's been called on to run full race distances. Williams and Renault were both delighted with the performance of the engine, particularly in the light of the high temperatures and Kyalami's 1,500-meter elevation above sea level. Patrese completed 82 laps during his endurance test, with a fastest lap of just over 1 minute 9 seconds shortly after his second tyre change. Later in the day, Patrese was out in the car again and in all completed 114 laps of the testing 3,85-kilometer Kyalami circuit. Patrese's teammate Thierry Boutsen, using the team's second car, also had a busy day. Boutsen completed 95 laps and late in the day set the fastest time of the week so far. The Belgian flashed around in 1 minute 6,99 seconds to complete the most successful day for the team so far. Both Williams and Renault management and the 2 drivers wore broad smiles, and the atmosphere in the camp suddenly relaxed into smiles all round. Throughout the week, Patrese and Boutsen have been impressed with the Kyalami circuit. Both drivers, with nearly 300 Grand Prix appearances between them, describe it as demanding with some interesting high-speed corners. Average speeds in the Formula One cars hover around the 200 km/h mark, and that is not hanging around. At the end of his physically demanding session, Patrese was more than happy with the results. Riccardo Patrese, let's look at today's testing session that you had at Kyalami.
Seems okay. We are doing many progress. We did a Grand Prix distance. Lap time also is improving. We found some better solution. I think that is definitely positive.
Chief Mechanic Brian Lambert, the day's events here today?
Quite good today. Very encouraging. We've done a race distance today with 2 tyre stops, unfortunately, but through the race distance we had no mechanical problems whatsoever. We are very happy, and so are Renault.
Another day's stringent testing by the Williams-Renault Formula One team here at Kyalami, but as you can see, the men are burning the midnight oil, preparing for tomorrow's final day at the circuit here. Well,